Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students of 9C, Assalamu alaikum. I am your teacher Muhammad Ilyas. This is our fifth introduction regarding the biology for Cambridge. Dear students, our topic for today is homeostasis, and this is taken from your book Biology for Cambridge, chapter 10, and according to CIE syllabus, topic 10. The objectives for understanding are as follows. First of all, we will try to understand the concept of homeostasis and how it helps to maintain the internal environment at constant values. And then we will, inshallah, be focusing on the concept of control by negative feedback. We will, inshallah, try to understand what is negative feedback and how it helps to control the body internal environment at constant values. Thirdly, we will be focusing on the structure of the diagram with the help structure of the skin with the help of a diagram, and we will be inshallah focusing on the different parts of the skin like the hairs, sweat glands, temperature receptors, blood vessels, and the fatty tissues. Fourthly, we will see how the human body maintain the body temperature at constant values in terms of insulation and the role of the temperature receptors in the skin, sweating, shivering, blood vessels, and the coordinating role of the brain. So these are our objectives for today's learning. First of all, we are going to start with the term homeostasis. Homeostasis means the same state. This is the process of keeping the internal body environment in a steady state when the external environment is changed. This is the ability of an organism to maintain a relative stable internal environment involving continuous monitoring and regulating multiple parameters and coordinating the responses to minimize the disturbance to the organism. And changes do occur, but the magnitude of these changes must be kept at small values and within the narrow limits so that the organisms can survive. So after understanding this homeostasis, now we are focusing on the negative feedback. The word negative means the process which works to eliminate the change from the set point. What is set point? Set point is a standard. For example, the set point of a body is 37 degrees centigrade. If there is any change in this temperature, even a slightest change in this temperature, either increase or decrease in the temperature, our body responds. How it is respond, we can see from this diagram. Any imbalance in this is detected by a specialized sensors or receptors which are present in our body, and these receptors send this information to control center, which may be the brain or the spinal cord, and then the instructions are sent to the effectors. These effectors may be the muscles, skin, or different glands which are present in our body, and these effectors work according to the instructions sent by the central nervous system, and they respond in this way that this imbalance which is created comes to the normal values, and this is how the negative feedback is helping to maintain the body at constant values. For this purpose, we can take the example of the body temperature. The control of body temperature can be taken as an example of the negative feedback. For example, the optimum value of the temperature for our body is 37 degrees centigrade. If the body core temperature rises or falls by a few tenths of a degree, the thermoregulatory centers detect these changes with the help of the receptors, and then a mechanism in the skin is activated under the instruction of the central nervous system, the thermoregulatory center, and these changes which are going on in the skin helps the body to maintain the temperature back to the normal values. And when the temperature come back to the normal values, then this coordinating mechanism is switched off, and the body is maintained at the normal temperature, and this whole pathway which is followed in this process, this is called the negative feedback loop. After having this concept of negative feedback, now we are moving towards the structure of the skin. We are going to understand the structure of the skin. For this purpose, I have selected this diagram for you. Dear students, the skin is basically the outermost surface around our body, which forming a boundary between the surrounding and the internal environment. The outermost layer of the skin is called the epidermis, and the surface of the epidermis is made up of flat dead cells containing a protein called keratin. And this cornified layer is impermeable to water and prevent the water loss from the body, and it has the ability to show its resistance towards the mechanical damage, and it also prevents the entry of the microorganisms. At the base of the epidermis is the Malpighian layer made up of living cells containing a dark pigment called melanin, which gives the skin its characteristic color. The cells of the Malpighian layer continuously divide to produce more cells, which gradually move upwards as they form, and they develop the keratin in in the cells, and then they die and forming the outermost cornified layer. The innermost layer of the skin is the hypodermis, and this contains the fatty tissues, and these fatty tissues acts as an insulation against the loss of heat, and is also act as a source of energy because they store the energy. The middle layer of the skin is also called the dermis. The dermis contains many different structures, sensory receptors, which we will discuss inshallah in the next slide, and other sweat glands are present, which secrete the sweat and helps to maintain the body temperature. Sebaceous glands are present in the skin, which these sebaceous glands creates the oily liquid which waterproofs the hairs. Small arterioles are present in this in the skin, which helps to maintain the body temperature or regulating the body temperature. Now we are going to focus on the sense organs in the skin. There are specialized sense organs which shows sensitivity towards the pressure, pain, the touch, and any change in the temperature. You can see with the help of this diagram, there are specialized sense receptors in our body which have this ability, and these receptors send these information to the central nervous system, and then central nervous system behave according to these messages. There are, you can see, the thermoreceptors, and these receptors has this ability to detect the heat or the coldness in the external environment. After having this understanding about the skin, now we are going to understand the maintenance of body temperature by the body. And if there are two conditions of maintaining the body temperature. One is the increase in the body temperature. If there is any increase in the body temperature and the temperature exceeds above the 37 degrees centigrade, then our body shows different responses. First of all, the production of the sweat. The sweat glands are stimulated by the brain, and they produce sweat, and which passes through the pores onto the surface of the skin. When this sweat is spread over the skin surface, it evaporates with the help of the heat which is provided by the body, and this is how the body cools down. There is a common misconception that sweating cools the body. because the sweat is cold. This is not true. Sweating helps to maintain the body temperature, because when the body temperature is at high, it helps to evaporate the water which is present in the sweat, and this is what the water evaporate. It gives a soothing and the cooling effect to the body, and it also helps to reduce the body temperature. Hair lie flat. Second point, the erector muscles which are attached to the base of the hair. In hot conditions, these muscles relax, allowing the hairs to lie flat against the skin surface. And this is how, when the hair lie flat, they helps to radiate the heat from the skin. And the third and very important function which is done by our body in case of increase in the temperature, this is vasodilation. What is vasodilation? The arterioles which are present in our skin, they dilate and increase the flow of the blood through the skin surface. When the blood flow is increased at the skin level, and it helps to radiate the more heat from the body through the skin. This is how the vasodilation also contributes in reducing the body temperature and to maintain the body temperature at 37 degrees centigrade. So dear students, these are the three ways in which any increase in the body temperature can be maintained. As I have discussed with you, the production of the sweat, the hair lie flat, and the vasodilation. And the second condition which our body may face, that the decrease in the body temperature. Then what steps our body take? The shivering, the goosebumps, and the vasoconstriction. We will see one by one how these three different steps helps to maintain the body temperature. Shivering is the response of the body when the body temperature drops. What happens in the shivering? The muscles begin to rapidly contract and relax, which generate a large amount of heat and helping to maintain the body temperature around the vital internal organs. So shivering is of great importance in this regard. Second, the goosebumps. What are the goosebumps? The erector muscles which are attached to the base of the hair, in cold conditions these muscles helps to erect the hairs. When the hairs erect around the skin, they hold the air, and here now the air acts as a blanket, and you know that air is the best insulator. When it is held by the erected hairs, then this acts as a blanket and does not allow the heat to radiate from the skin. So in this way the loss of heat is reduced, and this condition is called the goosebumps when the hairs are erected. This is how the body temperature is maintained when the temperature of the external environment is dropped. Third action which our body is going to take is vasoconstriction. So yes, I have discussed the arterioles, the capillaries are present in the skins, they become narrow, and this constriction does not allow the flow to allow the blood to flow in these constricted vessels, and in this is how the blood flow is reduced. And when the blood flow is reduced, the blood is not going to radiate the temperature outside the body. So these are the three steps are taken: shivering, goosebumps, and vasoconstrictions, and this is how they helps to maintain the body temperature at 37 degrees centigrade. So dear students, we have seen the both conditions when the temperature drops and when the temperature rise in the external environment, and how our body respond in this condition. And all these actions are taken by our coordinating brain, and brain act as a thermoregulatory thermoregulatory organ, and reduce and increase the temperature of the body according to the situation. So dear students, you have understand this process, how the body temperature is maintained in both the conditions. Now I have selected a question from your book. This is the answer of this question is present on the page number 219 and the chapter number 10. Your question is to discuss the concept of the control by the negative feedback. You have to write this answer on your notebooks and send back to your respective groups. Thank you very much for being with me, and one more request to you: please stay at home, stay safe. Allah Hafiz.